Hello, and happy Friday the 13th. I kind of lost track of this one. I usually do some kind of stream, some kind of thematically appropriate stream for Friday the 13th. But yeah, this one snuck up on me. But then I remembered Friday the 13th is supposed to be bad luck. And what worse luck is there than being in a Final Destination movie? Which got me thinking further that there is a story written in 1910 by W.F. Harvey called August Heat. And it is like a proto Final Destination. There are a lot of bits that fit in both. There are a lot of facets to each that really make a couple of pretty bold lines in between as far as the storytelling goes. As far as I'm aware, the story August Heat does not have anything to do with Final Destination. It wasn't an influence. It wasn't. It's never been mentioned in any. I don't know, interviews I've seen or behind the scenes talks or looks at any of the Final Destination movies, which honestly surprises me. And that's just from what I've seen. There actually might be a through line somewhere. But August Heat. When I say it's a short story, I mean it is a very short story. It is not going to take long to read. I would be surprised if it takes more than 10 minutes to read, honestly. But the thing about it is, after you read it, it will live rent-free in your mind for a while. So I figure we can, I don't know, charge it a little rent by discussing it after I read it. Sith Lord Mac is in the chat with the official, unofficial cutscene kitty in a box emoji. I hope you enjoyed the cat cam at the beginning of the stream. So, as I said, I think this is a story that you will want to talk about and think about at the very least. This is one of those horror stories that I will just randomly think of every couple of weeks or so. It'll just pop into my head and I'll be like, oh yeah. Yeah, that's a really good one. And I'll just ponder it a little bit. Maybe cumulatively too much time to spend thinking about a 116-year-old horror story that is just shy of 4 pages long. But why don't you be the judge? Let's start it. Suddenly I'm a lot brighter because I'm reading a white background PDF. Like I said, written in 1910 by W.F. Harvey. This is August Heat. I have had what I believe to be the most remarkable day in my life. And while the events are still fresh in my mind, I wish to put them down on paper as clearly as possible. Let me say at the outset that my name is James Clarence Withencroft. I am 40 years old, in perfect health, never having known a day's illness. By profession, I am an artist. Not a very successful one, but I earn enough money with my black and white work to satisfy my necessary wants. My only near relative, a sister, died 5 years ago, so that I am independent. I breakfasted this morning at 9, and after glancing through the morning paper, I lighted my pipe and proceeded to let my mind wander in the hope that I might chance upon some subject for my pencil. The room, though door and windows were open, was oppressively hot. And I had just made up my mind that the coolest and most comfortable place in the neighborhood would be the deep end of the public swimming bath when the idea came. I began to draw. So intent was I on my work that I left my lunch untouched, only stopping when the clock of St. Jude's struck 4. The final result for a hurried sketch was, I felt sure, the best thing I had done. It showed a criminal in the dock immediately after the judge had pronounced sentence. The man was fat, enormously fat. The flesh hung in rolls about his chin. It creased his huge, stumpy neck. He was clean-shaven. Perhaps I should say a few days before he must have been clean-shaven, and almost bald. He stood in the dock, his short, clumsy fingers clasping the rail, looking straight in front of him. The feeling that his expression conveyed was not so much one of horror as of utter, absolute collapse. There seemed nothing in the man strong enough to sustain that mountain of flesh. I rolled up the sketch and, without quite knowing why, placed it in my pocket. Then, with the rare sense of happiness which the knowledge of a good thing well done gives, I left the house. I believe that I set out with the idea of calling upon Trenton, for I remember walking along Lytton Street and turning to the right along Gilchrist Road at the bottom of the hill where the men were at work on the new tram lines. From there onwards, I have only the vaguest recollection of where I went. The one thing of which I was fully conscious was the awful heat that came up from the dusty asphalt pavement as an almost palpable wave. I longed for the thunder promised by the great banks of copper-colored clouds that hung low over the western sky. I must have walked 5 or 6 miles when a small boy roused me from my reverie by asking the time. It was 20 minutes to 7. When he left me, I began to take stock of my bearings. I found myself standing before a gate that led into a yard bordered by a strip of thirsty earth, where there were flowers, purple stock and scarlet geranium. Above the entrance was a board with the inscription, C.H.S. Atkinson, Monumental Mason, Worker in English and Italian Marbles. From the yard itself came a cheery whistle, the noise of hammer blows and the cold sound of steel meeting stone. A sudden impulse made me enter. A man was sitting with his back toward me, busy at work on a slab of curiously veined marble. He turned round as he heard my steps, and I stopped short. It was the man I had been drawing, whose portrait lay in my pocket. He sat there, huge and elephantine, the sweat pouring from his scalp, which he wiped with a red silk handkerchief. But though the face was the same, the expression was absolutely different. He greeted me smiling, as if we were old friends, and shook my hand. I apologized for my intrusion. Everything is hot and glary outside, I said. This seems an oasis in the wilderness. I don't know about oasis, he replied, but it certainly is hot. It's hot as hell. Take a seat, sir. He pointed me to the end of the gravestone on which he was at work, and I sat down. That's a beautiful piece of stone you've got a hold of, I said. He shook his head. In a way it is, he answered. The surface here is as fine as anything you could wish, but there's a big flaw at the back, though I don't expect you'd ever notice it. I could never make really a good job of a bit of marble like that. It would be all right in the summer like this. It wouldn't mind the blasted heat, but wait till winter comes. There's nothing quite like frost to find out the weak points in stone. Then what's it for? I asked. The man burst out laughing. You'd hardly believe me if I was to tell you it's for an exhibition, but it's the truth. Artists have exhibitions, so do grocers and butchers. We have them too. All the latest little things in headstones, you know? He went on to talk of marbles, which sort best withstood wind and rain, which were easiest to work. Then of his garden and a new sort of carnation he'd bought. At the end of every other minute he would drop his tools, wipe his shining head, and curse the heat. I said little. I felt uneasy. There was something unnatural, uncanny, in meeting this man. I tried at first to persuade myself that I had seen him before. His face, unknown to me, had found a place in some out-of-the-way corner of my memory. But I knew that I was practicing little more than a plausible piece of self-deception. Mr. Atkinson finished his work, spat on the ground, and got up with a sigh of relief. There. What do you think of that? He said with an air of evident pride. The inscription, which I read for the first time, was this: Sacred to the memory of James Clarence Withencroft, born January 18th, 1860. He passed away very suddenly on August 20th, 1910. In the midst of life, we are in death. For some time, I sat in silence. Then a cold shudder ran down my spine. I asked him where he'd seen that name. I didn't see it anywhere, replied Mr. Atkinson. I wanted some name, and I put down the first that came into my head. Why, what do you know? It's a strange coincidence, but it happens to be mine. He gave a long, low whistle. And the dates? I can only answer for one of them, and that's correct. It's a rum go, he said. But he knew less than I did. I told him of my morning's work. I took the sketch from my pocket and showed it to him. As he looked, the expression of his face altered until it became more and more like the one of that man I had drawn. And it was only the day before yesterday, he said, that I told Maria there were no such things as ghosts. Neither of us had seen a ghost, but I knew what he meant. You probably heard my name, I said. And you must have seen me somewhere and have forgotten it. Were you at Clayton-on-Sea last July? I had never been to Clayton in my life. We were silent for some time. We were both looking at the same thing. The two dates on the gravestone. And one was right. Come inside and have some supper, said Mr. Atkinson. His wife was a cheerful little woman, with the flaky red cheeks of country bred. Her husband introduced me as a friend of his who was an artist. The result was unfortunate, for after the sardines and watercress had been removed, she brought out the Dory Bible, and I had to sit and express my admiration for nearly half an hour. I went outside and found Atkinson sitting on the gravestone smoking. We resumed the conversation at the point we had left off. "You must excuse my asking," I said, "but do you know of anything you've done for which you could be put on trial?" He shook his head. "I'm not a bankrupt. The business is prosperous enough. 3 years ago, I gave turkeys to some of the guardians at Christmas. That's all I can think of. And they were small ones, too," he added as an afterthought. He got up, fetched a can from the porch, and began to water the flowers. "Twice a day regular in hot weather," he said. "And then the heat sometimes gets the better of the delicate ones. And ferns, good Lord, they could never stand it. Where do you live?" I told him my address. It would take me an hour's quick walk to get back home. "It's like this," he said. "We'll look at the matter straight. If you go back home tonight, you take your chance of accidents. A cart may run you over. There's always banana skins and orange peel, to say nothing of fallen ladders." He spoke of the improbable with an intense seriousness that would have been laughable 6 hours before, but I did not laugh. "The best thing we can do," he continued, "is for you to stay here till 12 o'clock. We'll go upstairs and smoke. It may be cooler inside." To my surprise, I agreed. We are sitting now in a long, low room beneath the eaves. Atkinson has sent his wife to bed. He himself is busy sharpening some tools at a little oil stone, smoking one of my cigars the while. The air seems charged with thunder. I'm writing this at a shaky table before the open window. The leg is cracked, and Atkinson, who seems a handy man with his tools, is going to mend it as soon as he's finished putting an edge on his chisel. It's after 11 now. I shall be gone in less than an hour. But the heat is stifling. It's enough to send a man mad. That's it. That's the end. Now, up until that last paragraph, it was all looking, premonitive pieces to it. Our protagonist, our point of view for the story, drew a picture of this man on trial for something. And this man carved a gravestone with this guy's real birthday and today's date as his death day. And now they're trying to wait out. If they make it to midnight, the date changes. They've got nothing to worry about. And this last paragraph, I'm going to read it again, because there is so much that could go wrong here. I'm going to read it one more time. "We are sitting now in a long, low room beneath the eaves. Atkinson has sent his wife to bed. He himself is busy sharpening some tools at a little oil stone, smoking one of my cigars the while. The air seems charged with thunder. I'm writing this at his shaky table before the open window. The leg is cracked, and Atkinson, who seems a handy man with his tools, is going to mend it as soon as he has finished putting an edge on his chisel. It's after 11 now. I shall be gone in less than an hour. but the heat is stifling. It is enough to send a man mad. There are so many ingredients to make like a dozen dishes of death, all of which Atkinson would probably be blamed for, because he's sitting there with a gravestone with this guy's name on it, right? If this guy dies in almost any manner at this point on Atkinson's property, it looks pretty bad for Atkinson. Hence the premonitive drawing of Atkinson being sentenced at trial. But that stuff goes without saying. Let's literally play with all these pieces we've got. So we've got the air seems charged with thunder. So, and before he had said that there were copper-colored clouds, sounding like there was going to be a thunderstorm. So, startling, right? A startling could happen. He's sitting next to an open window on a shaky table. So he could be startled and try and like stand up, and the table gives out and he goes out the window or something. All he had to do is send him off his property, Christie says. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I want to touch on the different roles everybody had here in a little bit, but first, while all this stuff is up in front of me. So Atkinson also now has a brand new sharp-edged chisel, and he's going to be presumably at some point approaching what's his name? I forgot. James Clarence Withencroft. He'll be approaching James with his brand new sharp chisel, and James says the heat is stifling and it's enough to send a man mad. It's getting close to midnight. Less than an hour. Not really sure exactly what that means. There's a lot of room there, but he might literally get a little batty from the heat. See Atkinson coming at him with his sharp chisel. Try and get out through the window and fall out and die. Atkinson might trip. He's a very big guy, Maybe he doesn't have the best balance. Might trip and just shank him with the thing. Now, sharpening some tools at a little oil stone, I'm not familiar with oil stones as a sharpening tool, but he's smoking cigar as well. I highly doubt that the oil on the oil stone is a flammable type of oil or an inflammable substance, but the cigar does seem to be part of it. Like accidentally dropping it in something, but there's nothing that would be particularly dangerous. But yeah, there's a lot of little pieces here that you could easily think of half a dozen different scenarios. A thunder crack, startling, shaky table, open window, sharp tool. Yeah. And that is where I see the biggest connection with Final Destination. So I think everybody here at the moment has seen Final Destination, but in case anybody watches this after the fact who hasn't, Final Destination movies begin with a premonition of a terrible thing happening. And then the person who got the premonition, it freaks out or avoids the accident or tragedy, and a bunch of people typically accompany them out, and it messes up Death's plan. And so Death sets up crazy. Is it Rube Gold? What are the wild machines that do a bunch of stuff? Is it Rube Goldberg machine. Over-engineered contraption designed to perform a simple task. Oh, hey, Sleeper. So yeah, in the Final Destination movies, Death sets up natural or accidental stuff to write the timeline and kill everyone, generally in the same order they should have died, or reverse order or something like that. Anyway, all that beside the point. But this room is Final Destination's flavor of death or fate or whatever. Like a dream room. Wobbly table, open window, thunder's coming, sharp tools, going a little batty from the heat, perhaps. Really, really good. This is why every couple of weeks I just, like, this story will cross my mind and I'll be like, yeah. So now, going back to kind of what Christy said, all he had to do is send him off his property. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Horror stories are full, and sometimes entirely comprised and based on people making bad decisions. Stupid bad decisions. Now, there's a bit tucked away at the beginning of this story that I think is really interesting and worth thinking about. The kid. So, Withencroft gets a little bit of highway hypnosis walking around town, right? And he gets shaken out of his reverie by a young boy asking for the time right in front of Atkinson's house. So, of this Rube Goldberg machine, is the little boy is part of it, right? He's got to be part of it. Because he stops him. He kind of like snaps him out of his walking highway hypnosis in front of Atkinson's house, and then all this happens. And like Christy said, all he had to do was send him off his property. Yeah. I think the decision to be like, okay, so I've got this gravestone here with your name on it, literally, and you've got a picture of me on trial, looking guilty AF. Come in for dinner. Why don't we hang out together for a little while? Oh, God. And then after dinner, already a bad idea. And then after dinner, he's like, let's go hang out in my rickety hot attic. I'll sharpen some chisels. Really, really poor decision making there. But it begs the question. So in Final Destination, the premonitions mess up Death's plan. But also, my personal theory of Final Destination is that the premonitions and the writing of the list is because fate is bored. I think fate plays a game with itself, and it's like the guy in Alcatraz when they get sent to solitary confinement. He'd take a button off of his shirt, like spin around and throw it in the air, and then try and find it on the ground. It must be kind of boring to be fate, So I think that fate issues these premonitions so it has a button to find every once in a while. And if you've seen all the Final Destination movies, including specifically five, you'll know that the airplane at the beginning of Final Destination 1 is actually taking care of a previous button toss. It's actually a really good twist. So the difference here is that rather than seeing these signs is putting it lightly, if you ask me. There's literally a picture. But they see these signs and they walk right into it. The Final Destination movies, the entire point is that fate will get you. You might think you found the loophole. You might think you got away, but fate will get you. You can't avoid death. Period. And I think maybe this story is just a very condensed version of that thesis. But I really like it. And I think it's a pretty good story for Friday the 13th. I told you it wasn't going to take long to read. It's genuinely just shy of 4 pages long. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, Sith Lord Mac, let's go hang out in my attic with my sharp tool. Anyway, yeah. What do you think? Do you think it is? Is it inevitable fate? Is it unbelievable coincidence? Do you have a specific... Yeah, you missed the whole thing, Sleeper. Sorry. It's literally like a 10-minute story. It's a good story, though. You should roll back and listen to it. Yeah, what parts of that last paragraph... If you were death or fate, how would you use those little puzzle pieces in there? The table, the open window, the incoming thunder, sharp tools, getting a little batty from the heat. How would you craft Withencroft's demise in a way that... Well, like I said, I'm pretty sure, regardless of what happens to Withencroft, Atkinson is a very... I mean, he made a gravestone with that date, today's date on it, right? Withencroft could die of an aneurysm on the toilet in Atkinson's house, and Atkinson would probably go down for it, right? Yeah. Good story. If anybody's got any theories, I'd be happy to hear them. Man. Yeah, the description of that room at the very end and all the attributes, facets, and, like I said, puzzle pieces of death. It reminds me of in Final Destination when I can't remember his name. He death proofs this old fishing cabin. And there's a bit where like a fishing rod goes over and hooks a doorknob, and then the door starts to slightly open, and there's like a ice axe or something flips through the door, and that's exactly like he in the movie he had that knowledge that death would do things like this. In August Heat, it's like Withencroft isn't putting together all these things are totally ways that he could die, right? That's the primary difference. We don't know what he's on trial for, Christy. It's just a picture of him looking absolutely defeated in trial. No context for it. But by the end of the story, I think it's safe to assume it's for the accidental murder of James. I don't know why I can't remember this guy's name. James Clarence Withencroft. Because what? Sticking with the theory that the wife killed him and Atkinson took the heat. Why would the wife kill him? What? Did you say that already? Why would the wife kill him? Yeah. I think the wife is a red herring. I think the fact that she was sent to bed is because whatever is going to happen, there won't be a witness. There won't be a corroborating witness for because he's not a malicious person. He doesn't want to kill Withencroft. But some accident is going to happen. He's sitting here with Withencroft's gravestone freshly cut, and his wife is in bed, can't back up whatever happened. He's defeated because he's innocent. The wife woke up crazy. I don't know about that. Oh, man. The wife woke up crazy. Crazy from the heat. He is defeated because he's innocent, though. I'll give you that. Like I said, whatever's going to happen, it's an accident. He doesn't hold any malice for Withencroft. Just made some really bad decisions. The room was too perfect for an accident? Or too perfect for an accident, so the fun subversion would be that the wife just woke up and murked him. Maybe old James was a little less than convincing when the wife was doing show and tell with the Bible, and she's just like, I know what I'll do. I'll kill him. It's possible. What kind of Bible is it? Compt or something? A Dore. What does that mean? Dore Bible. What is a Dore Bible? What is Dore Bible? Oh, a highly acclaimed 19th century illustrated edition of the Bible featuring 241 dramatic wood engravings by French artist Gustave Doré. Oh, okay. So she's sitting there showing him Bible pictures for a half hour. He got off lucky. 241 Bible pictures We could have been there for a lot more than a half hour. Got smoked, said Sith Lord Mac. Huh. Oh, wow. These are actually really freaking detailed, too. I'm looking at some pictures of the Dore Bible. Really detailed. Of course, I was thinking it must be huge because there's 241 slats of wood. These are wood carvings. But no, I believe they're just pictures of the wood carvings. Anyway, that's it from me. Christy thinks the wife woke up crazy. Crazy from the heat. Murdered him and then was just like, they'll never believe you, husband. I don't know. There's a lot that could go wrong in that room. Anyway, I won't drag it out. This is always going to be a short little stream. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting. I hope you enjoyed the story. And Christy definitely has the most active memory of everyone here. The wife did it. All right. I will see you. If you stick around the stream, when I end it, it'll roll you into the start page for tomorrow's stream, which is I'm playing Shadows of the Damned for the first time. I think I like played like 20 minutes of it way back on Xbox 360 when it came out. I don't remember it. I remember it controlling kind of weird and just not jiving with it. But I'm playing the remastered version on Steam. So if you wait to leave the stream when I end it, it'll bounce you directly over to that, and you can set a reminder if you want. And then Sunday, the 15th. Oh, it's Shadows of the Damned is kind of like a goofy. I should just play it now. It's not Valentine's Day now, Sleeper. It's a really raunchy video game retelling of Orpheus, right? Going to hell to save his wife. So yeah, good Valentine's Day game. But yeah, I'll be playing that tomorrow. Oh, they're bored. They won't let you work anymore. OT. I am not prepared enough to sit down and stream any game tonight. Like I said, this was really impromptu. But yeah, and then the 15th, Capcom just suddenly released Dino Crisis 1 and 2 on Steam, and they were 50% off, $5. So I'm gonna play Dino Crisis 1 for about 90 minutes, and then Dino Crisis 2 for about 90 minutes, and just see if there's anything new, see if the graphics are polished up or anything. Apparently Capcom hasn't forgotten about Dino Crisis. They're just happy to try and wring some more money out of us poor Dino Crisis stans instead of remake it. So anyway, I'm not sour. I'm cool. Good night, everybody. Yeah, big weekend of streams, Sith Lord Mac. Happy Friday the 13th. It's a good... Maybe I'll watch Friday the 13th, the first two. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow, probably, hopefully. Bye.